My fiancé, Lucas Lynch, returned from the battlefield, feigning leg injury to break off our engagement. Yet, I insisted on marrying him. On our wedding day, his sabotage led me to the wrong bridal sedan. By the time I rushed to Lynch Manor, Luke had already exchanged vows with Lucy Miller. Forced into compromise, I accepted Lucy as his second wife. Throughout our marriage, Luke used his injury to avoid intimacy. 2 years later, he staged a coup. Embracing pregnant Lucy, he declared her his true love while condemning me to death. Rain couldn't extinguish the flames consuming my severed legs in that inferno. Reborn on the day of Luke's homecoming. I found him theatrically slumped in a wheelchair. As Dr. Michael Miller examined Luke's leg in the throne room, his mournful diagnosis echoed, "Your Majesty, General Lynch's condition is irreversible." My blood boiled, recognizing their collusion. Dr. Mike was Lucy's father, the same traitor who poisoned palace guards during the future coup. Masking my fury, I snapped, "How dare you pronounce such doom on my betrothed? Summon every physician in the palace." Lucy tugged my sleeve anxiously. Must you humiliate him further? I wheeled on her, since when is seeking treatment humiliation? Should we let him rot in that chair? "Enough," Luke interjected, sweat beading as I viciously pinched his bandaged thigh. "The army medics confirmed it. This injury is permanent." Feigning tears, I wailed, "So you'll soil yourself helpless forever?" His jaw tightened. "There might be unconventional healers?" "Wonderful," I clapped mockingly. "Though given your battlefield failures, luck hardly favors you." When Luke petitioned the Emperor to annul our engagement, I knelt dramatically. "Father, shall we abandon war heroes? I'll wed him despite this crippling defeat at Willow Creek." Luke's face darkened, this battlefield loss being his covert triumph. Across the hall, Lucy's porcelain features cracked with panic. The game had changed. His defeat in battle wasn't exactly honorable, but people took pity on his limp and avoided mentioning the loss until I called it out. That selfish coward faked an injury, lost the city, then tried playing hero. Not on my watch. I turned away coldly. "Dr. Mike, while your chief physician, others might specialize in leg injuries. Fetch every expert available." Her Highness isn't reassured without multiple opinions. After decades in the palace, I'd finally see how deep Mike's influence ran. 5 physicians marched in before my tea cooled. My stomach dropped. Over a third of the royal medical staff were Miller family loyalists. Predictably, all 5 echoed Mike's diagnosis. I cataloged their faces for future reckoning. Later, I volunteered to prepare Luke's medicine with theatrical devotion. Under sweltering summer sun, I lounged in shade eating chilled melon while Lucy sweated over the cauldron. "Faster with that fan, Lucy. Proper heat unlocks the herb's potency. This is my personal gift to my fiancé." She shot me a venomous look, drenched as she pumped the bellows. When the brew finished, I offered sweetly care to deliver this to the Lynch estate. "Lucy," she jumped at the chance, scurrying off to change. The moment she disappeared, I stirred bitter powder into the steaming liquid. Lucy reappeared perfumed and prim, practically glowing as she spoon-fed Luke every drop. I watched their covert glances with icy amusement. "Oh, Luke, just wait until you discover your darling's tonic is rotting your legs from within." For weeks, I played devoted nurse. As Luke's wounds festered, desperation crept into his voice. "You prepared this yourself, Princess, supervised personally," I answered, examining my manicure. "Could the prescription be wrong?" I feigned outrage. "Lucy, did you mishandle the ingredients?" "Never. I checked each herb twice." She swore. Relief flooded Luke's face. He drained the cup, trusting his true love's care. When the queen voiced doubts about the engagement, I clung to her. Mother, abandoning a war hero would make me heartless in the public eye. My mind raced. Why end this game early? Let Lucy marry into the trouble she created. At Jay's victory banquet, my embroidered gown drew gasps. The so-called bloodthirsty reaper slouched at his table, absently swirling wine. Our eyes met. His gaze jolted me like lightning. Rumors painted Jay Woods as a merciless warlord, but the man lounging before me carried danger like a second skin. I'd heard stories how he'd raced back from the frontier upon Luke's coup attempts in my past life, too late to save me from the flames. Now, studying his careless posture and keen eyes, I wondered, could this be the wild card to destroy everything Luke built? Jay Wood's father was the only foreign-born prince of the dynasty and a legendary war hero. But 5 years ago, he was betrayed by a traitor and fell in battle. At just 12 years old, Jay took his father's place on the battlefield, fighting relentlessly for 5 years, until he earned his current rank as commanding general through sure military merit. At the previous victory banquet, I'd sat beside Luke like some servile attendant, carefully pouring his wine and arranging his dishes, too preoccupied to notice anyone else. Who could have imagined that the scrawny boy I remembered had transformed into this refined gentleman, completely contradicting his war demon moniker? If my memory served, he was about to request an imperial marriage arrangement using his military honors. After 3 rounds of toasts, the emperor began bestowing rewards. When asked what he desired, Jay knelt solemnly at the center of the hall. All former nonchalance vanished. "Your Majesty, I seek an imperial marriage decree." The emperor looked pleased. This was far simpler than granting land or titles. "Which noble family's daughter has captured our general's heart?" "Well, arrange the most splendid union." Jay's ears flushed crimson as his intense gaze locked onto me. "I wish to wed Princess Emmy." Gasps rippled through the court. Doesn't he know the princess is already betrothed? But General Lynch hasn't even recovered from his injuries. The defeated general versus our triumphant hero. Even the emperor appeared momentarily flustered. Who could have predicted the empire's most celebrated warrior would set his sights on an already promised princess? In my past life, I'd erupted in fury, then publicly shaming Jay to prove my loyalty to Luke. Now I watched the light slowly die in his eyes as he replaced it with practiced indifference. "Your pardon, I meant to say, I wish to wed Princess Emy's handmaiden." The hall fell deathly silent. My chest tightened unexpectedly. To preserve both the emperor's dignity and mine, he deliberately humiliated himself by requesting a servant's hand. "I'll marry General Woods." Lucy suddenly knelt gracefully beside Jay. "But I beg your Majesty's permission to share the princess's wedding date." Luke's wheelchair screeched across marble. He stared at Lucy with barely contained rage, until she shot him a meaningful look. As my former study companion, Lucy barely qualified as half a servant. My actual maids hadn't even spoken up. The audacity. My past self had been truly blind. Though internally cursing these scheming lovers, I maintained a placid smile, pretending obliviousness to their betrayal. With Lucy's intervention, the emperor seized the opportunity. "Does this satisfy you, General?" Jay's face had gone ashen. With a careless shrug, he drawled, "Whatever works. Thank you, Your Majesty." Thus, Lucy's marriage to Jay was sealed. The emperor approved her request to share my wedding date. Later, she even convinced the empress to grant her identical bridal attire to mine, though merely a lady-in-waiting. Her match with the war hero demanded superficial equality. Only I knew she planned sabotage. I observed her imitations coldly while outwardly preparing for the nuptials with feigned delight. 2 weeks before the weddings, I invited Lucy to join Luke and me for shopping. After hours of being wheeled through countless shops, Luke grew irritable. I pretended not to notice, cheerfully selecting jewelry and even gifting Lucy several expensive sets. As we exited the gem emporium, rabid dogs suddenly charged at Luke's wheelchair. Our few attendants, arms laden with purchases, couldn't react quickly enough. The supposedly crippled Luke miraculously sprang from his chair, fleeing then fighting off the animals. When the chaos subsided, all eyes turned to Luke's fully functional legs. His carefully cultivated image of a helpless invalid meant to avoid wedding night duties and enable his rebellion lay shattered by stray hounds. Dark fury contorted his features as I clapped with faux innocence. "How wonderful. Your legs are healed? Aren't you thrilled, dear fiancé?" Lucas Lynch stared at me for a moment before smiling cryptically. "Having fun. It might get even more exciting soon." "Your Highness, do keep shopping." Truthfully, that venomous smirk sent chills down my spine. Every instinct screamed for me to return to the palace immediately. "I'm done shopping. Since your legs have miraculously healed, I must inform His Majesty and Her Majesty at once." Lucy suddenly linked arms with me. "Please accompany me for 2 more boxes of rouge." "There's an excellent rouge shop ahead, I beg you." Luke glanced between us and strode forward without waiting for a response. "Since we're already out, there's a weapon shop with fine daggers ahead. Your Highness should humor me as..." Well, Lucy dragged me along while I mentally catalogued their transparent scheming. I'd anticipated their impatience, but not this brazenness. Let's see what far they'd staged. Inside the armory, Luke casually examined swords while subtly monitoring the street. His act collapsed when a dozen black-clad assassins stormed in. He valiantly shielded Lucy while half-heartedly engaging the attackers. Guards scrambled to protect me. The coordinated strikes and Luke's deliberate incompetence soon left only 2 defenders at my side. I gritted my teeth, furious at my own carelessness. Though Luke lacked the spine for outright regicide tonight, I'd likely pay in blood for this miscalculation. As a blade arced toward my legs, a jade pendant deflected the strike. Jason Woods descended like an avenging angel, shielding me effortlessly. Within minutes, half the assassins lay dead while survivors fled. "Are you hurt?" Jay urgently scanned me instead of pursuing, his concern shifting to bewilderment as Luke abruptly collapsed into a kneeling position before us. "General Lynch needn't prostrate himself," Jay remarked dryly. Luke's face paled with humiliation as his legs refused to obey. The rabid dog had squandered my mercy, the staged dog attack meant to expose his fake paralysis, only to orchestrate this botched assassination. Now his overexerted legs had truly failed, destroying any chance of recovery. After palace guards arrived, Jay escorted me home with unreadable intensity before departing silently. Luke's servants wheeled him away in disgrace. By dusk, court physicians returned, shaking their heads from Lynch Manor. Spies later reported Luke's desperate search for miracle healers. I lounged munching sunflower seeds, beckoning Lucy to sing for me. The night before our wedding, she dutifully kept me awake with a name chatter. At dawn, we both donned identical bridal gowns, though my phoenix crown and jewels dwarfed her paltry accessories. The physician's daughter actually envied imperial treasures, amusing with tearful farewells to the emperor and empress, demurely accepted the red veil. As it settled, the performance commenced. Our grand procession had barely exited the palace when Lucy stumbled, spinning us until she occupied my designated position. I yawned conspicuously while accomplices and bribe servants maintained the charade. Peeking through the palanquin curtains, I saw Luke grinning triumphantly from his wheelchair in groom's attire. Jay sat horseback nearby, his anguished gaze locked on the wrong bridal sedan. My breath hitched had he noticed the switch, but as our processions diverged at the city's edge, Jay's desolate expression dissolved. Once the other sedan vanished, he suddenly spurred his horse into a frenzied gallop. The bewildered wedding party scrambled after their runaway groom, jostling my bridal sedan violently enough to shatter any hope of rest. I finally figured out why the wedding sedan shook so violently in my previous life. I thought they were just keeping me awake. Both lifetimes' mysteries became clear. The reason the bridal carriage rocked like mad was because the groom ran off chasing someone. Just before motion sickness claimed me, the sedan halted. I adjusted my scarlet veil, hearing the matron shout before I could step out. "The Woods estate has arrived. The bride may descend." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. The groom entered ages ago. What's the bride doing arriving so late? Who shoot the ceremonial arrow now? Ignoring them, I lifted the curtain myself. The flustered matron cried louder. "General Woods' estate has arrived. Where's General J. Woods to greet his bride?" When I kept walking toward the mansion, she panicked. Wrong. Wrong sedan. I strode forward with icy composure. The matron grabbed my sleeve, whispering fearfully, "My lady, is that truly you?" Brushing past her, I entered the estate, confused whether I was Emmy or Lucy. She trailed behind. Beneath my veil, I saw sparse footprints in the bridal chamber. Most guests had gone to Lynch Manor. "Nature calls," I announced, slipping away toward Jay's quarters, using childhood memories of the layout. Deserted pathways confirmed the staff's absence. Rounding the rock garden, I heard urgent voices. An elderly steward stood pleading before a white-clad Jay clutching wine. "Young master, you should be welcoming your bride. Anyone can substitute," Jay slurred, taking another swig. "Substitute." The steward looked ready to snatch the bottle. "Do you hate your bride so much?" Jay laughed bitterly. "What does it matter? Since it's not her, any woman will do." Emerging from the shadows, I snapped. "If any woman suffices, why won't you even greet this princess properly?" Jay's wine jar shattered. He rose slowly, staring as if hallucinating. "Must be drunk already." The steward gaped before kneeling. "Your Highness, how?" "Why, rubbing my temples at their dramatics," I explained. "Someone switched sedans. Care to salvage this farce with a proper ceremony?" Jay became electrified. "Yes, let's wed now." I glared at his white mourning attire. "Changing," he said as he sprints inside, yelling, "Steward, guard her!" Moments later, Jay burst out, struggling with crimson robes. Grinning like an idiot, taking his hand beneath my veil, I noted with amusement he still walked with same as sighted limbs. Meanwhile, at Lynch Manor, Lucy had accidentally revealed herself during vows. The baffled crowd watched Luke announce, "We'll await the princess since we've exchanged vows with Lucy already. She'll be co-wife." Guests exchanged uneasy glances until my maid arrived, proclaiming, "Her Highness awaits everyone at Woods Manor. She blesses this happy accident and invites all to witness her union with General Woods." The stampede toward our estate was comical. Everyone knew better than to miss the real event. The future prince's wedding trumped some lame duck general ceremony any day. The once crowded spectators instantly scattered, leaving only slower-moving elders. These cunning guests even rushed to the gift table to retrieve their presents before fleeing. My dowry bearers hastily reloaded the wedding chests, resuming the procession with music toward the Woods estate. Within moments, the Lynch estate stood deserted. This wasn't part of the plan. Shouldn't the lover princess have raced back to this general's mansion upon realizing the mistake? Why wasn't she coming? Luke stood baffled. Lucy wavered between panic and delight. Was she skipping the secondary wife status to become mistress directly? But her modest dowry remained at the Woods estate. I paid no mind to their dilemma as our hall overflowed with well-wishers. Amid cheers about divine matches and perfect pairs, Jay and I completed our vows. In our bridal chamber, I eyed his dazed grin, happy about this unexpected wedding. So ecstatic, Jay practically vibrated. Whoever orchestrated this, I'd kneel in gratitude. I feigned anger. I'd rather kill them. "Emmy, don't leave." He grasped my hands desperately, shedding his usual icy demeanor. "I'll change anything you dislike. I'll outdo Luke in every way. Just stay. I've loved you for years." Testing him, I asked, "How far would that love go? If I died," his face hardened, "I'd slaughter everyone responsible before joining you." The chilling sincerity stunned me. Had fate granted this rebirth to prevent bloodshed? Noticing my silence, he softened. "Did I frighten you?" After dismissing maids to prepare for bed, I found Jay fixated on the unity candles. "Aren't you sleeping? These must burn till dawn," he vowed, "for our eternal bond." I patted the bed, which lasts longer, melting wax, or our actually marriage. His blush spread as he stammered, "May I do it here? Can you handle it?" I teased whatever clicked in his mind. Those candles witnessed far more than symbolic flames that night. At dawn, Jay escorted me to palace greetings, crossing paths with ashen-faced Luke and Lucy. The king and queen dismissed the wedding mishap as heaven's will, ignoring the couple's gloom. Despite Luke's limp, shouldn't they rejoice in finally marrying? Their dark-circled eyes hinted sleeplessness, though not the romantic kind. During tea ceremonies, Lucy's trembling hand spilled her cup. As maids rolled her sleeves to prevent burns, a virginity mark flashed exposed. They hadn't consummated. My gaze dropped to Luke's legs. Had the injury affected more than walking? Later reports confirmed Luke's performance issues became palace gossip. His growing rage led to Lucy bearing bruises. Hardly the love story she'd schemed for. 2 weeks later, my tip and clues led investigators to Lynch mercenaries behind the wedding attacks. Luke blamed disgruntled ex-guards, but public opinion shifted. Who else would stage an attack that conveniently crippled himself? Witnesses recalled him heroically fighting stray dogs pre-wedding, then casually strolling markets until suddenly wounded. The war hero became a self-harming joke when palace staff leaked Lucy's bribes to orchestrate the carriage mix-up. Everyone remembered her smug altar performance after accidentally revealing the swap. Others recalled her shameless campaign to marry Jay, even demanding shared wedding dates with royalty. Initially, people dismissed the matter as coincidence. But when all the pieces fell into place, the whole picture became clear. Some even speculated that the assassins at the armory had been orchestrated by Luke and his accomplice to kill Princess Emmy. Divine justice intervened. The schemer crippled himself while Jay emerged as the hero who saved the damsel, ultimately winning her heart. Luke desperately tried to suppress the rumors at first. When that failed, the shameless man came crawling to me, begging me to clear his name. He gazed at me with feigned tenderness. "Emmy, I've always loved you. Why else would I have requested the royal marriage decree?" fate played cruel tricks, making me wed the wrong woman. The pain haunts me daily. Jay, who'd been peeling grapes for me, rolled up his sleeves, ready to throw punches. I gave him a sidelong glance. He's the mastermind behind the bridal switcheroo, and I'm not done enjoying this show. The soldier immediately beamed. Had it been anyone else, I suspect he'd have the man thrown out right then. Luke grew frantic. Emmy, this isn't an act. Lucy manipulated everything. My feelings for you are genuine. I swallowed the overly sweet grape before drawing. Luke, did it hurt when you slashed your own leg? His eyes darted away. I don't understand what you mean. No. I smiled benignly. A single cut shouldn't cause permanent lameness. Not with Dr. Mike's expert care and Lucy personally brewing your medicine. Curious how you remained crippled despite such excellent treatment. Veins bulged in Luke's hands as he finally connected the dots. Abandoning his plea, he stormed back to Lynch Manor. Coincidentally, Dr. Mike later accidentally fell there, breaking both legs. Luke magnanimously petitioned the Emperor to let his father-in-law recuperate at their estate. His Majesty approved while discreetly replacing the chief physician position. My suggestion, of course. The doctor's condition mysteriously worsened until he became bedridden. Lucy reportedly cried herself blind in one eye, mourning her father. The capital buzzed with theories about the Lynch family's sudden streak of misfortune since Luke's disgraceful retreat from battle. Then came the damning report from border troops. Multiple enemy soldiers witnessed Luke deliberately wounding himself to fake injury and abandon his post. The enemy nation now mocks General Simpleton in satirical ballads. Investigators extracted confessions from Luke's former subordinates, confirming his cowardice and treachery as impeachment petitions flooded the palace. Authorities discovered stockpiled weapons and embezzled military funds during the Lynch Manor's raid. Public outrage demanded blood. On execution day, I visited my former residence within the estate, summoning the condemned couple. Luke gravelled at my feet. Emmy, Lucy poisoned my mind. Save me and we'll start anew. Lucy shoved him aside, kneeling with her milky blind eye exposed. Your Highness, this monster forced marriage upon me. He crippled my father and took my sight. I observed their scuffle dispassionately, when Lucy screamed, You failed twice as emperor, worthless in both lifetimes. My breath caught. Reborn like me. How delicious! Smiling coldly, I ordered guards to confine them in the very room where I died previously. Before leaving, I whispered to Luke, those medicinal herbs Lucy brewed. I might have added special ingredients while she changed clothes. The door closed on their screams. The cycle complete. With my goal achieved, I smiled and turned to leave the room. Outside, I listened to Luke's agonized screams and curses, and Lucy's torrent of insults directed at him, feeling an unprecedented sense of vindication. Since these two had schemed so desperately to be together, I was more than happy to let them have each other permanently bound in their toxic embrace. After what felt like hours, the commotion inside gradually subsided. Just when I thought it was finally over, Luke's hoarse shout pierced the silence. How did this happen? I was about to become king. It's all Jay's fault. If not for him, I'd never. The room erupted in fresh wails and Lucy's piercing shrieks. Jay arrived after handling matters at the front courtyard, finding me still staring absently at the once familiar estate. Emmy. His voice softened as he approached, cradling me like precious porcelain. What's wrong now? I understood this man before me had avenged me in our previous lives. My heart ached imagining young Jay, stripped of everything, fleeing to the warfront only to charge back into danger when I needed him most. But this time, we'd get it right. This time, I could finally return his devotion. That night, flames consumed the Lynch residence despite the parched, rainless skies. Luke and Lucy's remains vanished in the inferno, leaving no trace. As for Jay and me, our story was just beginning. We'd spend every remaining dawn and twilight building the happiness we'd earned.